and my first billion at 75, and people always ask me what the secret was. They expect some genius formula, some hidden strategy, some trick nobody else knows. But the truth is much less glamorous. I didn't get rich because I was brilliant. I got rich because I stopped doing stupid things. That's it. Most people sabotage their financial lives not because they're incapable, but because they refuse to stop repeating the same costly mistakes over and over again. The world doesn't punish ignorance as much as it punishes arrogance, impatience, and the inability to learn from the past. So today, I want to walk you through the 5 dumb mistakes that destroy wealth silently, slowly, and predictably. And if you can avoid these, not just once, not just for a year, but consistently, you'll be further ahead than 90% of people in the world. The first mistake is believing you can learn only from your own experiences. That mindset is a guaranteed way to stay broke. You don't have enough time in your life to make every mistake yourself, recover from it, and then try again. Smart people learn from other people's disasters. I spent decades reading about market crashes, speculative bubbles, corporate frauds, and bankruptcies. And do you know what I discovered? Everything that feels new or unprecedented has actually happened before, just with different packaging. Human psychology doesn't change. Greed doesn't change. Fear doesn't change. The way people justify bad decisions doesn't change. If you can recognize these patterns early, you avoid traps that destroy most investors. The sad part is that people think they're the exception. They think, this time is different, or I'm smarter than the ones who failed. But history is undefeated. The market has punished every generation the same way, by repeating the lessons they refuse to study. So instead of waiting for your own disaster to teach you something, use the millions of disasters that already happened. They're cheaper. The second mistake is buying things you don't truly understand. This one is deadly because it usually doesn't feel like a mistake until it's too late. Most people buy stocks, crypto, businesses, or opportunities based on hype, pressure, or fear of missing out. They don't know how the business makes money, how the model works, or what forces can break it. They just trust someone else's confidence. But confidence is not competence. If you can't explain in one clear, simple sentence how something generates profit, you're not investing. You're gambling with a blindfold on. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to invest in everything. You don't need to catch every trend. I've missed dozens of massive opportunities in my life, and I don't regret a single one. Missing a winner does not destroy your financial life, but buying something you don't understand absolutely can. People think the biggest risk is missing out. The real biggest risk is getting in without knowing what you're getting into. The third mistake is being in a hurry. This is the silent killer of financial success. Everyone today wants everything instantly. They want to double their money fast, retire early, skip the boring parts. They confuse speed with progress. But getting rich quickly is how most people get poor quickly. Wealth, the kind that lasts, the kind that grows, the kind that protects your future, comes from decades of compounding, patience, and consistent habits. Compounding is slow at first. It feels boring. It feels like nothing is happening. And that's why most people quit before it works. They chase shortcuts, hot tips, risky trades, leverage, and speculation. They trade in and out of the market trying to outsmart everyone. But the truth is, A boring long-term investor who simply buys good assets and holds them quietly will outperform most traders most of the time without stress, without chaos, without disaster. Wealth is not built by being fast. It's built by being steady. You don't need extreme intelligence. You need extreme patience. The fourth mistake is extreme diversification. This one surprises people because diversification is usually presented as a good thing, and it is, up to a point. But owning 40, 50, 60 different stocks doesn't make you safer. It makes you clueless, because the more things you own, the less you actually understand about any of them. Investors do this because they want the illusion of safety. They think spreading money everywhere will protect them. But if you don't understand what you own, you're not protected. You're just scattered. You only need a handful of great businesses you truly understand and believe in. And if you don't want the work of analyzing businesses, that's fine. Just buy an index fund regularly and stop overthinking. That alone will outperform most people who think they're being clever with complex portfolios. Concentration builds wealth. Diversification preserves it, but over-diversification destroys clarity. The fifth mistake is bleeding money through fees, taxes, and unnecessary transactions. This is one of the most silent and devastating drains on wealth because it feels small in the moment, but it compounds in the wrong direction. A 1% fee might look tiny, but over decades it can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Constant trading triggers taxes, and short-term taxes are brutal. People don't realize that every time they chase a quick win, they're paying a hidden price. Wealth is not only about making the right decisions, it's about avoiding the financial leaks that slowly drain your future. Keep your costs low, trade less, hold longer, let compounding work in your favor instead of against you. And when you put all of this together, a simple truth becomes obvious. You don't need to be a genius to become wealthy. You just need to avoid stupidity long enough. You don't need complicated strategies. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need to catch every opportunity. You just need discipline, patience, and the humility to avoid the mistakes that ruin most people. The world rewards consistency far more than brilliance. If you can avoid these 5 mistakes, learning only from yourself, buying what you don't understand, rushing, over-diversifying, and bleeding money through fees, you'll be miles ahead of the crowd. There's no magic formula. There's no secret club. There's just a long game that most people are too impatient to play. But if you choose to play it, the results are almost inevitable. If you want me to break down each mistake in more detail and show you exactly how to avoid them in real life, let me know and I'll make a part 2.